Welcome to an introduction to economics, brought to you by Parkbench Tutors and narrated by David Hopcroft. For further information about Parkbench Tutors, please visit parkbenchtutors.com. This is the first in a series of podcasts about money. We shall start by considering what we mean by money. To most of us it will mean the notes and coin we have in pockets or wallets or purses or whatever. Years ago it might have referred to the silver, gold or other precious metal that we used, if we were wealthy enough, and in some parts of the world it could have referred to seashells. Whatever is an acceptable way to pay for goods and services or to settle debt is money. Money is a medium for exchange. The alternative to a system with money is seen as a system of bartering. Here goods or services are swapped directly for other goods or services. Suppose I want to purchase 10 litres of gas for the car, and all I have are several kilos of turnips that I have grown. I have to go search around for a gas station that will accept my turnips for some fuel. We say there must be a double coincidence of wants for this to work. To work as a medium of exchange, we need a unit of account. In the United Kingdom it is sterling, in France or Germany it is the euro, and in the United States it is the dollar. We regard money as a store of value, because we can use it to make future purchases. The notes we carry around are the tokens for money. Typically, the value of the paper on which the note is printed is almost worthless. It is the acceptance of the note that gives value. This is because the note is accepted as legal tender, which means that by law it must be accepted in payment. There are occasions when confidence is lost in a currency, and often then a foreign currency will be accepted instead. Besides notes and coin, there is IOU money. This is just another means of exchange. A bank deposit is IOU money. You have made a deposit at the bank, and the bank owes you money. Most people do not carry all their money with them, or store it in a box under the bed. They use banks. Banks hold a store of money to meet requests for withdrawals. This is called the bank's reserves. The ratio of the reserve to the deposits is called the reserve ratio. The money supply is just the value of the stock of the exchange medium that is in circulation. In practice, banks will record transactions as receipts of checks, payments made, and so on, which are sent through a clearing system which will also settle any interbank differences. This considerably reduces the cost of transactions. The speed or ease with which assets can be turned into the medium of exchange is called liquidity. This is used a great deal in accounting when recording the assets of a business. The value of the notes in circulation at any one time can be determined from the weekly consolidated statement issued by the Bank of England. This information, present and historical, can be downloaded from the Bank of England website. The liabilities of a bank are the deposits that are made. The most familiar to most of us will be the current account, often referred to as a cheque account because this is the account against which cheques are still occasionally written. The use of the word current shows the increased use of debit cards as a method of payment. The accounts are known as sight deposits, referring to be able to draw money from them from on sight. They pay little or no interest. Time deposits are those that require notice to be given before a withdrawal. They usually pay a higher rate of interest. These time deposits include some savings accounts and certificates of deposit. A bank is a business, and the aim of a business is normally to make a profit. For a bank to do this, it must first attract money from depositors. To do this, it will provide a service and pay interest on the amounts deposited with the bank. The deposits will then be used to make loans to others, who will pay a higher interest rate for being able to use the value of the loan. A bank will also purchase securities to make money, which offer a good interest rate. It is important that the bank does not lend all its money. Some needs to be kept as cash to meet daily requests from depositors. The main way in which banks can create business and make a profit is in their facility to create money, which is also controlled. The reserve ratio is the ratio of reserves as cash deposits to total deposits. Let us see how the system works. If the reserve ratio is set at 10%, this means that 10% of the deposits are represented by cash. Now suppose the bank starts with £1,000 cash from depositors. We can represent this using the idea that assets must be equal to liabilities. The bank has an asset of £1,000 and the liability is that it owes the depositors £1,000. The bank now creates £9,000 of loans which will be lent to customers. This is money which represents an asset. At the same time, it creates a liability of £9,000 against which customers can write cheques. We can now write our balances to show that assets of £10,000 will equal liabilities of £10,000. The ratio of 1,000 to 10,000, or 1 in 10, or 10%, is the ratio of reserves. Although actual cash remains at £1,000, the money supply has increased to £10,000. In effect, the banks have created money. The bank still has to make money on the £9,000 it created. This is done by charging interest on the loans. The difference between the interest that is paid to depositors and the interest charged on loans is called the spread of interest, and that excess, after payment of expenses, creates profit for the bank. If a bank were to create too much money in the form of loans, and the risk was such that depositors lost confidence in the bank, then there is a risk the depositors would all want their money back at once. This could cause a run on the bank, since there would be insufficient cash to pay them all. The Bank of England has arrangements with banks that are temporary procedures to prevent this from happening. This ends our first short podcast on money, brought to you by Parkbench Tutors and narrated by David Hopcroft. Thank you for watching and for listening. We wish you success in your studies. For further information about Parkbench Tutors, please visit parkbenchtutors.com.